This initiative is not confined to the downtown area. UCF students have the opportunity to participate by renting these bikes, whether it be to bike to work, to class, or home. Just behind these curtains is the scare of a lifetime. The Orlando Haunted Maze team built this house from the ground up. Fine-tuning the rooms from 14 to 5, people come all over Orlando to get scared for a cause. Women from all over Orlando are here to march for their rights. Armed with signs like these women are ready to make a change. In honor of the first anniversary of the Women's March last year, women are here marching on the slogan, "First we march, now we run, and November we win." Recent studies done by Scientific Report shows a direct correlation between students' sleep patterns and GPAs.
Lack of sleep is actually one of the highest academic impediments for student success.
Almost 33% of students ages 18 to 24 sleep less than 7 hours a night, according to the Centers for Disease Control. Crystal Colvenbach, UCF marketing coordinator, says students aren't consolidating the material they study because of lack of sleep.
Consolidation happens when we sleep. So the information that we learn during the day, our brain waits till we sleep in order to properly kind of store that information and process it into ways that are useful.
Colvenbach attributes this lack of sleep to the many demands students have. These demands range from school schedules to work schedules.
All those kind of things pull their lives in different direction, and sleep unfortunately is taking the hit.
Sleep hygiene is the different practices and habits that are necessary for good sleep. Christina Gabnikas, coordinator of clinical services, says napping is very beneficial to sleep.
The 20-minute naps show that you actually feel more refreshed during the day. You can, retain more.
Grabnikas says that catching up on sleep is not a good idea.
If you start sleeping in or going to bed later than 2 a.m. on Saturday and then Sunday you're sleeping all day, it's just going to mess up that rhythm. It's almost like a jet lag.
Students should get between 7 and 9 hours of sleep every day, says Grabnikas. Reporting in Orlando, Brianna Jones, UCF Nightly News. UCF students have a disconnect between their attitudes of freedom of speech and the reality of it. David Algathorpe, Assistant Director of Communications for the Student Union, interviewed over 22,000 UCF students about their feelings on this First Amendment right.
Almost every student exclusively says that free speech is really important and it's a right that should be protected. But then when given specific examples of free speech and ones that are constitutionally protected, most students say that some of those are unacceptable.
Professor Aubrey Jewett says this disconnect is not a new concept. That feeling is a repeat of history.
Surveys going back for many decades have often found that Americans, including college students, have broad support for general ideas about American governments.
But when you get into the specifics, people backtrack on their ideas. Freedom of speech is one of the rights all people are entitled to. A recent Senate Bill 1234 may end restrictions on freedom of speech on Florida campuses. Free speech areas, like this one on campus, designate specific areas where UCF students and people from the community can come and speak freely. Oglethorpe said this bill hasn't really affected his research, but shared his thoughts on it.
Students, they can protest wherever they want, they can use their freedom of speech wherever they want on campus, but I think the non-campus or non-community members, I think it's important to be able to put them in certain areas, both for their safety and ability to do what they want to do and for students as well.
Oglethorpe's final research on students' attitudes will be published later this year. Reporting in Orlando, Brianna Jones, UCF Nightly News.
Again, it's a great honor.
UCF says farewell to our Chief of Police, Richard Berry. After a 41-year law enforcement career, Chief Berry is retiring from UCF PD. Berry, a fellow Knight, was the chief for 11 years. Now, he reflects on that time.
I will miss on game days as I walk around campus and students yell, "Hey Chief, how you doing?" And they come over and they introduce their family to me. That means so much to me as a law enforcement officer.
Berry says he loves UCF, but there are some things he is happy he will get to live without.
The late night phone calls, worrying about potential bad things that can happen, that takes a toll on you.
UCF PD is now on the hunt for a new chief. Courtney Gilmartin, UCF Public Information Officer, explains the process.
The process is being guided by the Florida Police Chiefs Association. They'll take in feedback from community and campus stakeholders as the process moves along.
Berry has some advice for who is next.
Stay true to your values. Remember, integrity is number one. Continue to build a culture of community policing and never be afraid if you make a mistake to fess up and then move on. The public will respect you for that.
Officer Frank Imparata says the new chief has big shoes to fill.
I'm going to miss him a lot. He's a great leader. He's a great role model, great example. He's an officer's officer.
So what's next in the cards for Barry?
What I'm going to do is retire from UCF. Then I'm going to figure out what I'm going to do when I grow up.
And growing up means keeping busy for Chief Barry. Reporting in Orlando, Brianna Jones, UCF Nightly News.